and welcome to another episode of Awakened and Unfiltered. I am your host, Erica Barreto, and today we are going to be getting into how do we keep going? How do we break through barriers even when life knocks us down? How do we step into our authentic self without allowing ourselves to fall into the fiery pits of hell? Okay. Because let's just say that when we have to deal with real life situations and we have to really process some emotions or even feel like things are really falling apart around us, how do we get through that, but yet keep going within our spiritual journey and trying to move forward, especially dealing with the things in the world today, with the world kind of burning around us right now, right? How do we deal with that? How do we remain spiritual through these processes? And the thing here is, I need you to understand that you are probably going to be your only cheerleader when it comes to this situation, okay? It is great if you have people in your corner who are there lifting you up, but the truth of the matter is that when it comes to these experiences in life, you are the only one that can get yourself out of it, okay? You're the only one. And I want to take you down the path of an experience that I had in my life where I had to really push through. Okay. Now I'm somebody who has dealt with depression, anxiety, you name it, I've dealt with it. Okay. Now, when I have dealt with my depression, especially after I had finished working, I had to retire. Now, when I retired from work, it wasn't because I wanted to retire. It was because I was medically incapable of continuing to do my job as a law enforcement officer. And therefore, that was a setback in my life. Now, when I signed up for that job, it was a career. It was a 20-year career with a pension. And I didn't know, right? At no point in time did I ever think that I was going to have to retire due to a medical issue or anything like that. And I was supposed to retire at 42 years old. And it would have been nice, right? Being retired early and being able to just live life the way I needed to. But if anybody knows anything about law enforcement and people who work there, it is a very tiring and very stressful job. And most people don't make it to retirement, or let alone 5 years after retirement. So maybe, just maybe, everything that happened for a reason and happened in a way for me to be redirected in my journey and in my path. But when it happened, it was not fun. Okay. It wasn't fun because I didn't know what was going to happen in my life. I didn't know where life was going to take me because law enforcement was all I ever knew. It is what I went to college for. I went to college to be a forensic psychologist. And it didn't really dawn on me at some point that I would ever have to run into a roadblock, right? Where I didn't know what was going to happen next. And I was being faced with that at a specific moment in my life where I had to deal with a major medical issue that really left me in a place where I was very limited to do certain things, especially with my balance. And therefore, I became a liability. So my job ended up retiring me. And after that, I mean, the stress of going through that process of retirement was just, it was horrible because I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if everything that I worked so hard for was just going to get thrown away. And it was the most stress I have ever dealt with in my life. And I thought it was going to take me out. I didn't leave my house for 2 years. The amount of anxiety and depression that I had, it really limited me and my functions to just do anything. I mean, thank God for my family and just being there for me to support me through that time. But it was not easy, especially seeing me like that. Yeah, but eventually I got to a point where I didn't want to be like that anymore. I needed to figure out what else is there. And I know through the entire process of me dealing with my medical issues, I kept fearing death. So this is what took me down the path of really diving into mediumship development because I needed to know what happens after death. What exactly happens? What happens to the soul? What happens to us? Do we continue? I had so many questions. So just led me down the rabbit hole, went on YouTube, down the rabbit hole, and I fell upon mediumship. And I realized that a lot of the creators that I was watching was mentioning a lot of things that I had experienced as a child, especially being very sensitive and actually having a lot of paranormal experiences. And I started to put two and two together. And it was something that I decided to really look into. At no point in time did I think that I was going to go from being a law enforcement officer to a psychic medium. At no point, I promise you. I still can't imagine how I would have looked at myself back then and looking at my life now. I remember back in 2006, I was having some like really odd experiences where I was hearing music and then the music would play, or I would think of somebody and then the person would pop up. I remember Googling, am I psychic? And it was just the funniest thing. And then I was just like, no, not at all, not at all. Because I know that even though I do this work, I have a very skeptical mind. I don't believe everything I see. I have to know. I have to really dive in to get the most knowledge that I can on a subject. But overall, I had to push through every single day, even though I didn't know where my life was taking me. I didn't know what tomorrow would bring. But I did know that I had this desire, this passion, that I knew I was made for more. And what that more was, I didn't know, right? Because I was dealing with a lot of internal fear, self doubt, a lot of limiting beliefs, and also having to worry about the external factors of criticism, life circumstances, just thinking about the societal pressure or just thinking about what people would think about me. And I had to not worry about that. There were many times that I had to look at what I was doing and say, hey, if you really want to do this, why are you so afraid? How do you get through this? So, yeah, it was a fear of judgment, but it all came down to that self worth. And that just kept showing up. It kept showing up. And then I found writing, journaling, especially writing about gratitude. That was something that I really took very seriously. My gratitude, I still have journals that I have kept from years ago that it was my very first journal. And it started off with a few things because I did find it difficult to find things that I was grateful for because at that moment in my life I wasn't feeling very grateful. I wasn't feeling very grateful for my life circumstances. And now that I look back, I get it. I get it now because I really was in a place where I couldn't see outside of myself. I couldn't get past the hurt. I couldn't get past just the limiting beliefs that I've had. And it really took me some time. So, in order for me or you to break through that barrier, you need to take an idea and you have to look at it further down the line and say to yourself, if this is something that I want to do, how do I get there? How can I focus what can come of this as well, right? So it's almost like creating a plan, but creating small goals. Because if you know anything about creating goals, you cannot make something that's grand, huge, because it's harder to reach those goals. And then when you don't make it, you end up beating yourself up because of not showing up for yourself. You have to make them small. You have to make these goals small and take everything one step at a time, and you will eventually see yourself have a breakthrough. And I think the most important thing about understanding how to break through these barriers is really stepping into your authenticity. And this is just a daily practice. And it's how you redefine that authenticity and understanding that it's not about perfection, but it's about aligning your truth moment by moment. And that can show up in so many different ways. And I think when we step up and we show up as our true selves, we can help so many more people because, again, you are a magnet like that because people will relate to you. They will. So it's really about you choosing yourself in the middle of chaos, choosing how you can just move one step forward, even if that's just, writing one thing down for the day or making a plan for the week or just showing up for you and taking the time to sit with yourself and be in that presence. Showing up, creating a plan, and not allowing things that if you don't get to it to ruin you and make you feel like you're not productive and you're not good enough. I mean, those are thoughts and things that will come in through our mind, and that's another thing you have to understand is that your ego is always going to talk to you that way. So we have to understand the difference between our intuitive thoughts, intuitive flow versus our ego that's going to sit there, argue with us, beat us up, tell us what we can and what we can't do. Okay. So I want to give you a practical tip here. It is going to be a journaling tip. All right. Because I'm a big journaler. So here's what I want you to ask yourself. What part of me am I hiding right now, and why am I hiding it? And sit with that for a moment. Don't rush through it, sit with it. Because it's all about turning those setbacks into stepping stones. And how do we do that? We don't look at those setbacks as a place of being a roadblock. We have to look at it as a way of overcoming things that are not allowing us to step into our true self. So it's like pause and pivot. What can we do here to get us out of that mindset? How can we move away from allowing ourselves to feel as if we are stuck or we can't move forward? So you ask yourself, what would my authentic self do? How would my authentic choose to be in this moment? And that'll give you a moment to really just look at it from a different perspective. So it's a spiritual perspective at that. There are many times that I have faced myself in ways that I didn't want to look at it. And it's a part of the spiritual journey that a lot of us go through. It's a part of our, I guess you can say it's leveling up. It's a part of mediumship development entirely, because mediumship is going to make us look at ourselves through a magnifying glass. It is going to make you look at yourself to a point where you're going to see things that are patterns, that are repetitive, and Spirit shows us this because they want us to understand. It's never about them judging us, but it's about how can we look at this? It's more for ourself. It's about that surrender. It's about the divine trust that we have, and just understanding that we have all these different layers of ourself, and it's really about digging deep into your soul and not looking at the false layers that we've created throughout the years, the ones that have held us back, the ones that we have been brought up to believe because of the false societal narratives that we've been forced to obey. Okay. It's all about breaking away from all of that. So that's where that surrender comes in. So I want to invite you to really reflect in your life right now. Where in your life have you been holding back your true self because of fear of past failures that's not allowing you to step into your true self? I want to encourage you to take one step daily to do something that you normally wouldn't do, something that is pushing you out of your comfort zone, but it is allowing you to get further down into your goals of whatever it is that you are trying to achieve for yourself. Now, there's so many things you could do for yourself. You can repeat affirmations, right? I'll give you one right now. I am unstoppable in my authenticity. Every barrier I face is a bridge to my true self. So you could start your day off with affirmations. This can help you really start that energetic flow for the day. It'll allow you to step into the day with a positive mindset and allowing you to really shift your perspective. And I think a lot of the times we get set in this way of that limiting belief of, oh, I can't do it. There's just not enough time. We always will have excuses. Always. That's why I tell you to keep your goals very small. Make them achievable goals. I have videos that I listen to on YouTube with Jim Rohn. He is my mentor. I always say that he's my mentor. He is my positive mindset mentor who pushes me to get me to do the things that I am like afraid of stepping into, right? And this is somebody that's not even alive anymore. This person is no longer here. Your mentors can be videos that you watch and people that you look up to. And it's about how and what pushes you, what allows you to step into that authenticity of being who you truly are, and allowing yourself to be that, to stop hiding. Because we all have something that we want to share. We all have something that somebody needs to hear. And everybody has a purpose, regardless of if you don't feel like you found it or if you feel like you're having a hard time. I feel like when it comes to really looking how we pinpoint exactly what that is, think about the things that make you happy. Think about the things that you talk about that light you up. What is that? and write about it. Sometimes, if you just continue to write in a journal, this is like an exercise of automatic writing where you will write in a journal and just allow the pen to flow. And sooner or later, things will come out. This is where you'll be able to understand, okay, this is where my passions are. I like to do this. This is what brings me joy, And when you step into that fully, you will see how magnetic you become. You will see how many people really just connect with you because you will have something to offer that they are wanting to hear. And I think that's the most important thing that you need to know when it comes to just stepping into that version of yourself and not allowing yourself to stay in this comfortable space, but allow yourself to step out and do things that you normally wouldn't do, pushing through daily. Now, sometimes that doesn't have to be a physical thing that you do. Again, just listen to a motivational video, talk to yourself out loud with some affirmations, write in a journal. Those are all steps forward into getting further to where you are wanting to be. So do not beat yourself up because we all go through it. None of us are perfect. We all have life issues. I mean, after all, this human experience is here to help us learn and grow as souls. So this is all about you just giving yourself grace. And I hope this helps somebody out here today. And I will see you next time.